Here are 5 beginning guitar tips you will actually use. If you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you one tip that can increase your practice time by 20% without adding a minute to your practice sessions. My name's Jake. I'm a guitar nerd of 23 years who loves playing and teaching the instrument, and I want to see you playing with joy and freedom. The first skill is using the proper amount of pressure to play notes. Most of the time when we go to play a note, we're squeezing way too hard. Even the pros are squeezing too hard, but beginners are usually squeezing even harder. We think it takes a lot of effort and energy to get the string to connect with the fret, but that's not true. It takes barely any. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our finger down just above 3rd fret on the 3rd string. We're not going to push. We're just going to set it so we get a thunk. Then we're going to gently squeeze our left finger as we're plucking with our right hand until we get a clean, clear note. You should be shocked at how little pressure it actually takes to get a clear note. Usually, when we don't get a clean note, it's because of our positioning of our left hand. Now, that can take some time to get, but don't compensate by squeezing harder. That's not the answer. The second tip is how we're holding our pick. A lot of beginners are going to pinch it between maybe these 2 fingers or even their first finger, something like that. They're just gripping it any way they can and taking it to the guitar. But what we want to do is we actually want to make a thumbs up and then relax that thumbs up. So it's kind of an open fist. Set the pick down. You see mine's pointed off to the left. So my fingernail is pointed at me, my pick is pointed off to the side, and I set my thumb down on it. You can see how the point of that pick is in relation to my fingers. And then I'm just going to bring that to the guitar. Now, if my wrist is all cocked or funny like that, I can go ahead and adjust the tip. It doesn't need to be exactly that way, but we want to be on the side of our pointer finger with our thumb holding the string or holding the pick down. That's the ideal way to hold the pick. Now, there's a couple reasons for this. There's some more intermediate techniques that involve using these fingers, and this allows us to do that because we're holding the pick in a way that creates a good angle for the fingers and all those things. But in the immediate sense, because we have less finger oils on the side of our finger than on the pads of our finger, we're going to drop the pick less. It's going to give us a more secure area to hold that, right? So instead of the pick constantly sliding out of our fingers when we're playing, we're going to be able to hold that pick much more securely. The third skill is how to strum down and how to strum up. So when we do a down strum, we hit the lowest strings first, and we may or may not hit the thinnest string. Now, on a beat 1, we're probably going to hit all 6, but in the middle of the song, we might just hit the thickest strings. And on the way up, I almost always only hit 3 or 4 of the thinnest strings. Now, in the beginning, a lot of times we think, oh, I got to strum all the strings down and all the strings up. But if you listen back to some of your favorite records, and especially acoustic players, you'll notice that they're not playing full strums each way, but they're playing thick strings down, thin strings up, giving the guitar its characteristic sound. Number 4, don't learn alone. Get friends, get support, get accountability. Why do you think kids in high school learn so fast? They have a teacher or a class or friends that are learning as well. And you can have that too. Join us free at school.com/guitar in our free course and community. There's hundreds of adult guitar players learning guitar, having fun, sharing their experience. You don't have to learn alone. 5, make sure you're playing along with recordings of songs. Once you learn something, you want to make sure that you can play it with the band who wrote it. Their drummer is going to act like a metronome, which is much more fun than a metronome. You're going to have the opportunity to test, am I really able to play that bridge section of the song, or do I really know the chords to the solo? Because as you're playing, you'll hear whether or not you're on. It's a great way to test if you really know the song, and also to practice songs you know in a fun way to keep them in your memory. Here's the bonus tip to increase your practice time by about 20% without adding a minute to your practice routine. Leave your guitar out of the case, somewhere where you pass by it, whether it's on the way to the kitchen or the bathroom or out the door. And every time you walk by, pick up the guitar and just strum a few chords. Now, those little 1 and 2 minute sessions are going to add up to be an extra 15 or 20 minutes every week, which is another 20% to your practice. It's incredibly powerful and often overlooked. As I always say, play every day, practice most days.